As the Black Lives Matter movement makes mainstream news here in the UK pretty much for the first time, this video is going to debunk one of the main alleged facts which underpins the necessity of even having Black Lives Matter UK. Thank you for watching. This is a Talking Dude. Subscribe to this channel if you haven't already done so. So right now, as I'm filming this video, we have Black Lives Matter movement, Black Lives Matter in the mainstream news. They blocked one of the main roads going into Heathrow Airport, which is the biggest airport in the country, earlier. And right now, as we speak, this march is taking place in East London. There's a Black Lives Matter march or rally really taking place in a small park in East London, just outside the city of London. Now, when I got home, I saw that Owen Jones had posted an interview with two activists from the Black Lives Matter movement. One of them is Marcia Rigg, whose brother Sean died in police custody almost 10 years ago. And the other is a guy called Wael Kasim. And I'm going to focus on the comments of Wael Kasim because he makes a statement which I found to be somewhat strange. It didn't really seem to be a strong point. Owen Jones will basically ask him why Black Lives Matter UK, and Kasim comes back with a point, which his main point as to why Black Lives Matter UK, and I'm going to debunk that point in this video. So let's check it out.
So Black Lives Matter is now being founded here in Britain. The instant response, which, I've been trolled about myself, as I'm sure you all have, about Black Lives Matter. Why do we need it in Britain? This is an American problem.
In the UK, a person dies in police custody every 6 days since.
Now, I just want to point out, notice that he said a person. He just said a person dies every 6 days. He didn't say a black person. This is very important. He didn't say a black person. He just says a person. So what Owen Jones should have said is that, well, why Black Lives Matter then? If this is all about deaths in police custody and it's not specifically to do with black deaths in custody, why do we need this? But I'll come back to that point in a minute.
A person dies in police custody every 6 days. Since 1990 at least, we've had 0 convictions of police officers. There's this big movement in the United States, but they have seen police officers being prosecuted, whereas our justice system seems adamant not to kind of give people like Marcia and other families a sense of justice when police officers are caught up in having been involved in killing someone.
So we'll scroll forward and we'll listen to another question, a good question from Owen Jones here, and we'll listen to the answer that's given here.
Investigation that they were in cahoots with the police.
When I tweet about this, I guarantee you, the first few tweets, they will say, all lives matter. That will be the response. What's the response to those people?
All lives do matter, but we wouldn't have to have a campaign to say that Black Lives Matter if that was the material fact. 1,000.
Now, I should stop it there. That's disingenuous. Why did he say that? He's being asked to justify the existence of Black Lives Matter, and he's being asked to respond to the obvious point that all lives matter. Why do you need a specific Black Lives Matter movement? And he says, well, you wouldn't need Black Lives Matter if all lives did matter. It's like, well, you haven't demonstrated a reason for the existence of Black Lives Matter. That's just circular reasoning. We exist because we need to exist. Why do you need to exist? Well, we exist because we need to exist. Anyway, back to his comments.
We wouldn't have to have a campaign to say that Black Lives Matter if that was the material fact. 1,563 people have died in police custody since 1990.
Again, so 1,563 people have died in police custody since 1990, he says. All right. He's now going to bring the race element into that.
Fact, 1,563 people have died in police custody since 1990. A huge proportion of those are black deaths in custody and black and minority ethnic deaths in custody. You're twice.
Now, is that really the case? 1,563 people have died in police custody in the UK, well, in England and Wales, since 1990, he says, and a huge, what was his words? A huge proportion? What was it? A huge proportion?
Minority ethnic deaths in custody. You're 1990. A huge proportion of those.
A huge proportion of those are from black and minority ethnic groups. All right, let's do some talking about this on a Talking Dude. Again, subscribe if you haven't subscribed to this channel for future videos like this. I went and did a simple Google search, and I found this website called Inquest, or this organization called Inquest, working for truth, justice, and accountability. And they basically track, deaths in police custody through the years. Now they've got a chart here which goes from 1990. It starts from the bottom here, 1990, going all the way up to 2016. So it's live. It's being updated as we speak, and you'll see the totals at the bottom here. You'll see that figure which Kasim used, 1,563 deaths. This is deaths in police custody or otherwise following contact with the police, England and Wales, 1990 to date, 1,563. So that's the figure he's using, right? So we know that we're using the same data that this Black Lives Matter UK spokesperson is using. Well, this organisation, Inquest, also give statistics for Black and minority ethnic deaths in police custody. Don't mind this chart. This chart only starts in 2006, but down here they've got data from it says it's from 1990 to date, and so it starts here from 1990 to date, and from 1993 they've got it. It also includes shooting. Actually, it's got shootings first started happening from 1993. Anyway, the point is, down here are the totals. This is the total Black and minority ethnic deaths in police custody or otherwise following contact with the police, England and Wales, 1990 to date. The total is 156. A quick calculation will tell you that 156 compared to 1,563 is around about 10%. It's about 9%, basically. So, first of all, that is not a huge proportion. 10% is a small proportion. It's not a huge proportion. Huge proportion would have to be like 40% or something like that. But it's 9%. Now, what we need to know what the proportion of Black and minority ethnic people is in England and Wales, because, for example, if there are only 0.1% of Black and minority ethnic people in the UK, then of course 10% is massively overrepresented. But if you know anything about the UK, you'll know that 10% is around about right. Not right, no one should die in custody, but you know what I'm saying. Here's the basics, here's the demographics from the Office of National Statistics. So this is the government statistics. England and Wales, all white people make up 86% of the population of England and Wales, which means what? Which means that Black and minority ethnic people, which is all of the rest of us here, make up 14% of the population. So guess what? Actually, when you're looking at deaths in police custody and following contact with the police, Black and minority ethnic people are actually underrepresented. We're actually underrepresented. We make up 14% of the overall population of England and Wales, but we make up 9% of the overall total of deaths in police custody and following contact with the police. So that's the first point. This Kasim guy is either ignorant or lying. Probably ignorant, probably not really well prepared. I find that with a lot of these young kind of activists who I've met in my time, they will just spout things that they've been told without really looking into things. And campaigning groups and political groups, SWP or someone's probably put him up to this whole thing. But he's just wrong. Now let me investigate a little bit further. There was this Guardian article here. The Guardian is a lefty newspaper here in the United Kingdom, and I found this article here called "Why do UK media why do UK media fail to cover the deaths of Black people in custody?" And it's basically saying that the media is racist because 94. I mean, there's a statement here. One person says it's because British journalism is 94% white. It's too white. Journalism too white. #. And so that's why the media doesn't cover Black deaths. And then it's got this interesting comment here. It says, talking about Sarah Reid, who's another person who died in police custody. And it says, Reid's death is one of 1,500 deaths in police custody since 1990. So again, we know that we're looking at these same statistics that we saw on the Inquest page, which is actually police custody or otherwise, following contact with the police. The paragraph continues and says, That total includes more than 500 victims from ethnic minority backgrounds, despite only making up 14% of the UK population. Now, where's this 500 figure coming from? That would be a huge over-representation. You know, this guy is claiming that a third of deaths in custody are black and minority ethnic, whereas we've just seen from Inquest that it's not a third, it's about 9–10%. Where's this coming from? Well, there's actually another Guardian article which I found, which is actually a month before the previous one, and it's called "No Convictions Over 500 Black and Asian Deaths in Custody." And it's talking about research from an organization called Institute of Race Relations. Now, this is slightly more careful because it gives us more careful data here. It says more than 500 black and minority ethnic individuals, okay, have died in suspicious circumstances while in state detention over the last 24 years, but not a single official has been successfully prosecuted, a report examining institutional racism has revealed. Now, notice here it says died while in state detention over the last 24 years. That's basically talking about prison. That's including prison as well as custody, as well as police cells and in contact with the police. Going back to the Inquest site, we find they actually do have statistics here for deaths in prison. And we look at the total since 1990 to now, going all the way up here, 3,991 people have died in prison since 1990. And a simple calculation, if you divide 500 by 3,991, you get 12%, 12.5% of those deaths in prison have been black and minority ethnic people. And that's assuming that this 500 figure, let's just have a look. Well, in state detention, now, yeah, that's presuming that this figure. Oh no, actually, it's 348. Look down here, 348 black and minority ethnic people have died in prison since 1990. So 348 divided by 3,991 is 9%. It's 9%. So again, black and minority ethnic people are actually underrepresented in the deaths in prison. Now, a final factor to sort of factor in, do you factor in a factor? But a final point to say is that you have to consider how much contact black and minority ethnic people have with law enforcement. You know, that's something that you also have to consider, because if black and minority, this is the same in the US as well. If black and minority ethnic people, for example, I'm not saying that this is the case. We don't have statistics to say that this is definitely the case. But if black and minority ethnic people are committing more crimes, then black and minority ethnic people will be coming into contact with police more, because the criminals tend to get caught, and also when the police are looking for suspects for crimes, they will look for people matching a certain description. So that's another factor that kind of needs to be broken down, and that's not for, the point is not in, I can't kind of break that down in this particular video, but the basic point is, when we hear that one of the main justifications for Black Lives Matter UK is that an overwhelming a huge proportion of the deaths in police custody are black and minority ethnic people, it's either A, a barefaced lie, or B, a startling example of ignorance. Either way, it seems to me that this Black Lives Matter UK movement is founded on hot air. It's founded on basically people, wanting to feel like we're part of the struggle that's taking place in the United States. The United States has got serious issues with regard to deaths. The police and the black community there, they've got serious issues there. And I'm thankful, actually, here in the UK, that we do not have anywhere near the intensity of issues between black people and the police here in the United Kingdom. Thank you for watching. This is a Talking Dude. Subscribe, once again, subscribe to this channel if you haven't already done so. Let me know your thoughts. I might be missing something. If so, I'm always ready to be corrected, and I'm always ready to, to eat humble pie. I'll do a video to actually correct myself and eat humble pie. Take care. Thank you for watching. See you later. Goodbye.